Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy, Sirr of the 2020 Podcast, LLC. Please say the LLC. And before you listen to this episode, I just got to let you know, I need you to stop what you're doing. Go to blkrenaissance.com, and I need you to shop for the culture. That's right. Anytime you use the promo code LLC20 at Black Renaissance Clothing's website, you will get 20% off your order. Off rip, no questions asked. So do me a favor and do it for the culture. Peace.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed to the emergency car at the bottom platform.
Okay, we lit it just like a fuse, so no need to pick and choose. Welcome to 2020, where we do more than interviews. The hottest be coming through, jumping knowledge on all of you. Get a peek at the front of you with the truth that they offer you. Yeah, hands up, we doing it for the culture. To give artists and businesses more exposure. Keeping it real and stay solid just like a boulder. It's about to go all the way down, can't get no lower. Chasing my dreams, know that they get no slower. But if I stay running, I promise they getting closer. Moreover, success my older. And if you're sleeping on me, I'm waking them up like Folgers. I told you, coming from the land with the tide roll. Well, we'll be on a whole different vibe though. We like to ride slow and keep our windows tinted so you really can't see us like Stevie Wonder waking up with his eyes closed. Yeah, got the kind of flow that rock the boat. On my 16s of pounds of dough. And if you figure you can hang with me on the mic, then grab some rope. Matter of fact, better grab some hope. While you at it, we keep it live, it's time to tune in. Turn up the sound on what you're using. It goes so hard, I think it's bruising. The show is 2020, no need to zoom in. Yeah.
Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy, Sirr of the 2020 Podcast, LLC. Please say the LLC. And today I have a special guest, Marlena Banks of Big Idea Food. Goodness, it's Thursday. But anyway, Marlena, thank you for taking time out of your day to do this interview. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with the 2020 podcast listeners and share my nuggets of wisdom.
All right. So, Marlena, we're going to hop right into it. Obviously, being an author, let's talk about the book. Big Idea Food. If someone was to ask, what was this book about? What would you say?
Yeah, it is a weekly devotional for entrepreneurs, side hustlers, and dreamers. And it was created for the sole purpose of giving you that fuel and that courage that you need to do business and to know that you are able and that God is for you and He's for your business and that you'll be successful. I have found in my own entrepreneurial journey, as well as the hundreds of entrepreneurs I've been in touch with since launching the book, that courage, faith is like all we need sometimes to just make those moves. So this book was written to give you exactly that.
All right. So I want to go in the aspect of time because, it isn't easy to put out a book, especially in this particular subject matter. So how long had you been an author and how long had this book been kind of formulated?
Oh, that's a good question. This book was not intentionally formulating for longer than a year or so before I started writing it. It actually was born out of my own personal journals. So I've been in entrepreneurship over 10 years at this point. I started out as a graphic designer, moved into creative direction. I just did a lot of freelance creative brand development for mom and pop shops. And so growing up, in entrepreneurship and being a Christian and being like a huge avid journaler, I'm always writing down like nuggets that I'm getting from just reading the word, spending time with God. I'm struggling with this thing in business. And, I would just write down things that came to me that were helpful, that encouraged me or lessons learned. And it was, I launched the book in 2018. It was maybe about a year and a half before launching it that I had been looking to pivot in my business. I was kind of burned out with the design stuff and wanted to explore something else. And so I'll save you the long story, but the short of it is, I after looking for after looking into a bunch of different avenues, I realized that I needed X to start this type of business or Y to start that type of business. And I really felt a nudging in my spirit to look at what I already had in my hands.
Mm,
And when I did that, I realized that, one thing I've always been great at is teaching and ministering, especially like breaking down biblical truths and just making them relevant, making them interesting for people of our day and age. So, after kind of thinking about those being my strengths, I got the idea of like somewhere along the lines, I felt a nudge to go look back through my journals I have like literally stacks of journals. And after looking back at them, I realized there was a ton of literally it's content. And I was creating content and didn't even know it. It was just writing, my experiences. So that's why I say it was unintentionally written over probably at that time 7 years of entrepreneurship, right? Before I realized what I had and kind of converted that into a devotional for entrepreneurs. So that's kind of before it launched, and then it's been out now about 3 years. I think that answers your question.
no, it does. And it actually answered two questions. And the very next question was what kind of inspired you to kind of start? And you kind of answered that with you going back through your story,
Yeah.
revisiting where you've come from. You realize that, hey, someone else could use this, and I can kind of use this to kind of guide others who are along the way. So essentially, your testimony is what you're saying.
Basically, it's 52 pages, or 52 testimonies, right? So many learnings for sure. Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's get into the thick of it then. So let's revisit those years, because 7 years, that's not something to gloss over so easily. So of course there's plenty of experiences during that time. What obstacles did you encounter along the way that, kind of got you writing?
Oh man, so many. I can't even. I'm like, we don't even have enough time, right?
Who don't?
This is the book, so I'm just like, let me see what obstacles. But really, what comes to mind for me is most of the obstacles being a newer entrepreneur, being really, yeah, most of the obstacles were within me, right? My own
Mhm.
personal growth, my own personal discipline, and my own general learning curves as it relates to building a successful business, right? Building relationship and network in business, treating my clients well. And, all of those things were areas that I continued to learn and grow through. But a lot of it, I would have to say, would be related to mindset, just like, oh my gosh, I messed up and I want to just go and cry for 10 days, right? And it's like, no, everything's gonna be fine. Like this is you pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep going. Um, so I would say, yeah, most of them were personal growth and discipline related options, as well as just continuing to believe that I could do it. Um, when I prepared for this conversation, I prepared obstacles that have happened since writing the book. So thinking back to the book obstacles is like, whew, what are they? I have to go and like open the book and look at them. If we have time, I can. I don't mind.
Oh no, this is your story. We're kind of interested in this.
Oh
And
my
also
God.
if you want to talk about the book process itself too, because I know that's a little bit of a journey as well. So let's pick two.
Absolutely. Let's see. Gosh, there's just so many. I would say, oh man, there's just so many lessons. Okay, so charging what you're worth, right? That
Okay.
has definitely been an area of growth and realizing that the need to charge what the value in commiserate to the value that you're providing, right? Even just starting, week one talks about how when I graduated from college, I graduated in 2009, right? When the bottom of the economy just fell out and I was trying to get a job, right? Didn't work. I wasn't able to get work in my field, or I spent a lot of time looking for work in my field, and then kind of wound up doing other work that I hadn't gone to school for at all, right?
Mhm.
So I dealt with a ton of just low confidence, self-esteem, just low. I'm like, man, I had gotten a C on my final senior project, and it was just like, I suck at life, basically. That's how I was feeling. I was living with my mom, and so it was just a hard time. But it was in that time that I had started to, I had really birthed my faith, and focus on just like growing as a Christian. And in the process, got hooked into some really great, ministers and people who poured into me. And that is when the entrepreneurial just like juices started flowing. And I'll never forget this scripture. I don't remember when or how, but I found it, and it just spoke volumes to me. And it's in Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and 14. And it says, "Come, my shy and modest dove, leave your seclusion, come out in the open. Let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is soothing and your face is ravishing." And that just
Mm.
spoke to my soul. It was like, you know what? These ideas matter. And I'm going to do something with them. It just really gave me that push. And I felt like that God, like, yes, baby, go on and do, go after this, so that's an example of one of the, major mental, mostly obstacles that I faced, and what helped me kind of push through that. In terms of developing the book, what do you want to know? It is quite a process.
Okay, so let's talk about being published. Just the process of that. I've spoken with several authors, and they would tell me, "Oh, you have to have it formatted a certain way. There's deadlines. Finding the appropriate channels to go through is a little bit. It's easy, way easier said than done, from what I've understood."
Yeah, it is a process for sure. I went the self-publishing route. So I did not get a traditional publisher, and I'm really glad I did it that way, because I was able to learn a lot about publishing something. And it is a process. Once you dump everything out and you've written it, which is the first part of the process. I when I started coaching after launching the book, I coached authors exclusively.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest things that I would encourage them to do is, first, you have to finish writing the book. Like, I know you're trying to figure out marketing. I know you're trying to figure out the cover design. I know you're trying to figure out how to get it up on Amazon. But if you don't have a book to publish, nothing's going to happen, right? So
Right.
if there are any authors listening, I encourage you. I know that a lot of distractions are coming to you right now, and you just got a million things swirling around in your mind. Finish the book first, right? Just block it all out, right? Let the ideas come, write them on paper, put them away, and finish your book. That is the key part. And after that, again, I learned, I don't know if I'm the expert on self-publishing, but I have experience understanding the value of investing in support and professional support along the way. So I did hire a professional editor. I am great at copywriting. I'm great at editing, but even, with those skills, it was very important for me to have a second eye on the book. And I learned that an editor really does do more than just fix typos and whatnot. They are reviewing that book for everything, for it to make sense, obviously, for liability issues. I mean, there are things that editors know to look for that you just aren't thinking about. And it's really extremely important to invest in a quality someone who does this. And I keep that same energy and recommendation as it relates to the design of the book. I invested, and I, being a graphic designer, I know how to design. I have all of the equipment and materials. And I even started to try to design my own book cover, but it didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. Sometimes you can be too close to a project to
Ooh.
allow it to unfold the way you really see your vision. So I had to step back and I had to find help. And I'm so thankful that I did. So hiring a cover designer, hiring an interior book designer, right? Because we're not just throwing words on pages, we are beautifully crafting a work of art. Okay.
Mhm.
So that was a process. And so once you finish your writing the book, you submit your manuscript to your editor, it's an edit. You're going back and forth with your designers to get the cover right, to get the interior right. And after that, to publish it really just means to make it available for sale. So I chose to do that on, I did a pre-sale. So I offered the book as people were able to pre-order the book, and I got with a local printer to print the copies and fulfill those orders for me. After that pre-sale ended, I ended up publishing on Amazon through their KDP platform. And it's really super easy. You just follow the instructions and go from there. So yeah, it's an involved process, but it's very concrete. There's literally a set of steps, and it's probably like 19 steps. But if you just check those off the list, you have a whole book and it's done. So yeah, any authors listening who are considering self-publishing, it's totally doable. I knew nothing about the publishing process, and I have a whole book that for some reason, I'm able to talk about it on platforms like this now. So it's definitely doable.
Well, I think that's cool. There's a dignity in simplicity. So there's nothing wrong with having those concrete steps, because writing the vision and making it plain, I live by. So if the instructions are clear and concise, there's less room for error. And it's also more enticing to those that follow after you. Because what people do, well, dang, if Sirr did it, then I could do it. So that's the impression I want to leave through all things. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. I really do, because we hear that a lot, but we don't envision it when it comes to ourselves a lot. And also incorporating other people who are specialized in other aspects of making your project the best. Just like you mentioned, you're a graphic designer, and I'm sure you do great work, but there's someone that could possibly see it in a different light that could make it better. So I'm guilty of that. There's a lot of times I'm like, no, this is my baby, only I can touch it. No, pray for discernment, that someone who's wise enough and can possibly see your vision in the best light possible could portray that for you. And it also creates opportunities for networking as well. So,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah, which you will need as an author for sure.
exactly.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll just say this to many of us who are almost called to be authors and who have a message to share. For me, handing over the design of my book was, in a sense, me letting go of my lower talents, or the things that I'm good at, right? And maybe
Mhm.
even great at. And letting go of those to take hold of what was to come for me, right? Some of the higher calling that and purpose that was in mind for me, right? And so you will find that the book is just literally a Pandora's box. Once you write it and put it out there, so much more purpose will be revealed to you, and there will come a time where you may have to release what you've been doing, what you've been good at. For me, in my case, it was design. It could be anything in your case, so that you can take hold of, speaking, ministering, teaching. People are going to want to hear more from you. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was a huge learning for me in the process, and a growth step for me as well.
All right. So let's get into the aspect of management. A recurring theme I try to discuss with entrepreneurs is the value of time and how that reflects in their personal life and work life. So, how do you happen to manage that balance between work, you're already smiling, and your personal life?
Yeah, manage is a good word. I'm glad you say manage. It is an ongoing process, battle for sure. I cannot even um, pretend to have mastered that because it's not easy. But now entering into year 3 of running my business, I have I'm entering into a place where I don't have to work 18 hours a day and hustle around the clock. And so that has been a bit of a mindset shift for me.
Mhm.
Um, because starting this business out, starting literally from zero with a whole new business. It took a lot. There was a lot of grind periods, and I was still working full time. So these first 3 years were very busy. But entering into this, where I am now, things are a bit more streamlined in terms of the business. I've definitely come to a place where I'm not having to grind as much. And my word for this year, it's funny that you asked this question because my word for this year is live, because I am
Mhm.
very, uh, I must live more and work less in 2021. And so that looks like a lot of things for me. Even in the midst of my busy periods, I have always set strict business hours. I don't work past 8 p.m. After 8 p.m. is family time. I don't care what is happening. I'm done at 8 o'clock. And I have to stick to that and honor that boundary. And that has worked really, really well for me. I'm working to pull that up to 6 p.m. before the end of this year is out. But so that has always kind of been a part of my process. Another thing I'm working to manifest my live in 2021 is I have designed my dream schedule, which includes only working 4 days a week
Ooh.
and no more than 8 hours a day, and it's totally doable. And now that I see what I want my schedule to be, it's really easy. And I'm in a place in my business where I can sort of recalibrate my offerings so that I control when I am showing up on social, inside my community, inside my group coaching program. So I've literally been able to, by designing my dream schedule, I'm designing my dream life in a sense, and I'm making my business fit within that, right? And making my business serve that. Now I've been serving my business for 3 years, and now it's about to serve me as it relates to time management. And then another thing that I'm doing, I'm like, rest is just, it's just very important to me. Like it's just so important and key, and I want to incorporate more of that into my day to day. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is I'm implementing a rest week for not only myself but my team. When I think about the type of company that I want to provide and the jobs that I want to provide, like I want to give my employees time off, like a lot of time off. Like I want y'all to be rested. So we do a rest week every 4th week of the month, where
Ooh.
I'm not showing up live anywhere. I don't have any standing public obligations, and I just believe this gonna help my team and I just get that rest from the just ongoing demands of business, right? The day-to-day grind. So yeah, I'm there's a lot of things I'm trying now as I'm entering this new space. So like I said, constantly working on balancing work and life. But for me right now, that looks like pulling back from the business so that I have the space to do more life, do more. Oh God, when COVID finally relaxes, to travel more and be and just live and play more for sure.
I am 1000% guilty of what you're describing. All work and no play, to the point where it takes a toll on my mental fatigue. And then I would find, I guess, my tolerance a lot lower in other aspects of social life. And so I would come off as short when I'm not trying to be. It's just my mind is pulled in 1,000 different directions. Um, there's a proverb that states, when you chase two feathers, you will grab none. And I found that personally, I had been pursuing success so diligently that I was running in place.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully understand what you mean about living more, taking time to smell the roses, because if you're just working, you're missing the journey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can't enjoy it
Period.
if you're not observing around you. Imagine driving from here, well, when I say here, from Alabama to New York, taking the scenic route, and all you're looking at is the odometer. Essentially, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I commend you on discovering that and adjusting accordingly, because not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah. And it can be really hard too when you're doing something you love.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yeah, has absolutely been a challenge. It's like, I love this. I can eat, sleep, and breathe. I feel like I'm walking in my purpose every day. But even purpose needs to chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
There's no
know?
purpose without you,
Yeah,
so
that's it.
I hear you. That's a word. All
Yeah.
right. So again, I'm gonna harp on the years of experience, because I think that's so cool. Like you were saying, this is over 7 years of knowledge that you've compounded. There has to be one memory, if you just had to pick one, that was probably the most memorable. That was like everyone gets that moment, or I pray that everyone achieves that moment where they look back and they're like, you know what? This is why I do this.
Mm.
What moment was kind of like that solidifying moment that's the most memorable for you?
Oh man. I've had a few of those moments, but the most recent moment that comes to mind is the day that I opened the doors of my membership community. This was last April. Pandemic is just starting to descend upon us. It was just weird times, and I had felt, mind you, I've started this, I've launched this book. I've always seen this vision of bringing together this tribe, like just this dope tribe of, other dope Christian people, people of color. I just have, it's been in my heart for so long to bring together a tribe. Even when I was doing graphic design 7-10 years ago, I've been passionate about entrepreneurship, and I always wanted to have my little clique, my family, and I just never really had that. So fast forward to last April, and I really felt a strong urge. I knew I was going to start a community. I had planned to start it later in 2020, maybe Q3, Q4. But when everything was starting to pop off, I was just like, we need this. I really felt like we needed it. So it was, a Sunday afternoon was when we had our first group kickoff call. And I'm excited because I'm like, all these people, I've sold this thing, I've launched it, people have bought. And that was like crazy that people actually wanted this vision of community that I saw. But to get everybody together on a Zoom call and see everybody's faces, and I literally could cry, like just thinking about it. But I asked everyone, why did you join? Like, why did you want to be a part of this? And just hearing everyone's answers, right? Everyone saying how much they needed this, how much they had been praying for a space like this. It was just so affirming. It was just so affirming. It was just like, yeah, this was right. Now doing it now was right. And yeah, it was the manifestation of a dream that I had had for a decade. Literally, it's like, these are my people. We're all here. Everybody, for whatever reason, is here today to be a part of this community. And so yeah, that for me was just a huge destiny moment. It felt like I was doing the work that I was put here to do, and that I was moving into a new chapter of that. To that point, I had written the book, and had engagement, interaction with my readers more one-on-one. And finally, we were able to get together and they're able to meet each other and they're like making connections like, oh girl, I'm in DC too. Like, let's get up. And, yeah, that just completely priceless moment for me, for sure.
Just creating that platform is amazing because with social media, it's as much as we are connected through the internet, it's created kind of a divide with social skills. Technology has been like a blessing and a curse when it comes to that. So being able to use technology to reestablish those communication skills is pretty dope. So I'm going to mentally high five you on that. So, right. That's cool. That's cool. And that, isn't that amazing? Like when people come together with a common idea, just in one place, even if it's just for a few minutes, just a common idea, just, yeah, let's come together and do this. Okay. That's, and the key thing you said was manifestation. You have to speak things with conviction. You have to state it with an intent. I often refer to it because I think a lot of people will get this with dating. When you're courting, as the old folks say, you're kind of letting it be known, what your intentions are. So why not do the same thing with goals for yourself? Don't say, oh, I hope I can do this. No, I'm going to do this, or I'm in the process of doing these things. You have to give the dream life. You have to treat it like it's a child. You have to give it affirmations. Sometimes you have to admonish yourself, set strict guidelines like you've mentioned. You don't work past 8. Even for your baby, you still have to set those goals for yourself because although you're going to manifest, you still know the importance of accountability. And that's the other part of manifestation. You have to be brave enough to examine yourself and say, yo, I need to do this, this, and this in order to get here. So that's awesome of you. I love to hear people talk about that because it inspires me, in turn, because these are the conversations I would much rather hear rather than half of the other things I see on social media.
Facts.
All right. So now here at the 2020 podcast, Ms. Marlena, we're transparent. So I'm just going to warn you, we're very transparent. So I'm going to flip that question. At any point, did you feel that you wouldn't be successful? And if so, who or what changed your mind?
Great question. I'm trying to think of an actual moment because if I'm being a whole transparent, I have doubts about my success on a daily basis.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
talk about it.
Yeah. I would say that many entrepreneurs say the same thing. You see that graphic of the day of an entrepreneur, and it's like, I'm the best, I'm the bomb. And then 2 hours later, I'm the worst thing ever. This is never going to work. What am I doing? Why did I do? Why? Right. And then 2 minutes later, it's like, okay, nah, we good.
Right.
So it's like the constant battle as an entrepreneur. I definitely have moments of feeling like that on a daily basis. I would say that, what changed my mind or, what continues to help me, in addition to just my faith, which just entrepreneurship tests and tries that to the core, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just God just being there to constantly carry and support me through all of my just the emotion and the just support that I need. I would say, and I said this earlier, how important mindset has been for me, and my most powerful tool is my morning routine. It just keeps me going. I am constantly working to keep my mind in a positive space. I would say mindset and belief, right, is 95% of the game in entrepreneurship. Like that is how I feel. Maybe 90, I don't know, but it is a huge chunk. And when my mind isn't right, when I'm in that doubtful place, it reflects in my work and in the results that I'm able to get. So I work on that every single day, and that looks like gratitude, a lot of gratitude. I start my day off um, thanking God for 10 things. I
Mm.
literally think of 10 things from the previous day or whatever is just going on in my spirit. I'm just like, I start my day with gratitude. And then the rest of my routine just includes a combination of prayer, affirmations, like you mentioned, reading, studying scripture, reading personal development books, journaling, right?
Mm.
Which is my therapy in a lot of ways. And then continuing to listen to faith filled messages. Those things keep me going. And whenever I slack on that, whenever I don't do my morning routine, it shows. I feel it. I feel it. And it will be a direct link to a day that I felt like, oh my gosh, like, why am I doing? Let me just go get a job. Let me just quit playing and just go get a job. Right. That keeps me going. So yeah, that's very, very huge for me, is that morning routine.
I love it. Um, I agree. There's my uncle used to have this saying at church, and when I was younger, I was like, "Where did he get this from?" But as I grew up, it made sense. Every time he'd say a prayer, he'd make it a point to say, "I give thanks for my life, health, and strength." Every single time. And I'm 34. And every single time, I don't care how big the prayer was, it could be coming off of a fast or we're about to eat, he would mention it. And I finally asked him, why those three things? He said, because not everybody wakes up, not everyone is in the best condition, and not everyone is able to recognize when they're surrounded by the best people. So life, health, and strength.
Mm.
I stuck with me. It stuck with me. And I think I was like 13, it's stuck with me. It was one of those gut punch moments. And I think you kind of affirm that, it's so many things that go wrong, or wrong as we see it. And sometimes we just have to sit back and look at the bigger picture. We have to count what went right in our favor versus what's not going, the way we want it. And sometimes we have to really look at it. Is it meant for us then at that time?
Absolutely.
So mindset. And I'm not going to allow you to diminish a mindset from a 95 to a 90. It's 90. It's 95, excuse me. It is totally 95%. Because just think about the phrase waking up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yep.
That's exactly where that comes from.
Yep.
So how you start the day can affect the rest of your mindset for that day. Are you going to start off defeated, or are you going to fight back? So kudos to you for recognizing, the things we take for granted and applying that in a positive light. That's a sign of a good, optimistic person. So kudos to you.
Amen.
So,
And I mean, I can't take up too many kudos, because continuing to do that, right? Like,
mhm,
you become your routine, right? You become the habits that you do on a consistent basis,
it's
right?
true.
So this is cultivated. Anybody can cultivate an optimistic person mindset, right? You just have to do
True.
that work. So I have to put that out there. Anywho.
All right. So now my next question, Ms. Marlena, is my infamous question. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's my long-term question. So where would you like to see yourself as an author, as a person, as an entrepreneur in the next 1 year, in the next 3 years, and then in the next 10 years?
Yeah. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Essentially.
Oh, a year from now, my biggest focus this year is building the infrastructure that my business needs to grow and scale. Um, and that looks like expanding my team to be able to take a few of my hats
Mhm.
because right now it's me and an assistant. And so I definitely see growing my team as well as continuing to shore up my actual business systems. These past few years, and even now, my offerings have been evolving and getting more finite and iterating and iterating and iterating. And I'm getting to the place where I can start to see the finish line, right? Not that you ever stop iterating, but where they're a little bit more stable than they've been. So now with a more stable offering set, being able to build systems and team around that in order to grow and scale the business. So infrastructure being in a really good spot a year from now is my focus. I already told you that living is my focus for this year. So, by the end of this year, I'll be done working at 6 p.m., right? I'm going to be working my 4 days a week and I will be living my entire best life after that. 3 years from now, my company, Big Idea Food, is now more than just a book, right? I have a community online, a private membership community that I just shared. I have a group coaching program. But what I see further out from there is that this is a media company. I want to get into the media space. I want to develop film. I want to develop more educational resources that are just full of faith fuel that will support entrepreneurs and creatives. So absolutely dabbling in the media space. I have little things bubbling now, but 3 years from now, I do see us having launched and rolling with a significant media project. 10 years, 10 years. Great question. I'm so glad you asked. I want to hand over the reins of my company. I don't want to be a CEO. And knowing that, discovering that has been a humongous blessing. I don't want to be a CEO. That's not who I want to be. So that looks like for me continuing to, I'm building a company, right, that can run on its own. I'm doing what a CEO will do so that it's ready to pass on to capable leadership who can continue to evolve this into the legacy brand that I know that it was born to be. So I would love to still sit on the board. I will be this my creativity is still here, right? Like I'm not have strengths in business, but in my heart of hearts, I just want to frolic around and create things and just vibe with dope people. And so that's more the role I'm looking to take on in my company and let other people run it. So that's where I see 10 years from now.
No, that's amazing. That 5 to 10. I feel you.
Put that into the atmosphere.
There you go. And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's cool. That goes back to our original point. A lot of times we think it's our baby. We have to have our hand in everything. No, somebody's idea might be more sufficient. And I think a lot of times we don't think past our lifetime.
Yes.
If you want to create generational wealth, you possibly have to look down the line of letting go possibly sooner than later. There are some people that understand business better than you may, or I may, someone that may be in the forefront in 4 years, that might have a closer ear than we, sometimes people are just ahead of the time or ahead of the curve, and being able to recognize that is a lot. It takes a big person to do that too, so kudos to you. I don't hear that. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that. In fact, I know it is. So that's cool. That's cool.
Thank you.
So, Marlena, this brings me to my last question. And it's my favorite. Not trying to be biased on questions, but it is. Reason being, I dedicate it to everyone who's listening / watching. The hardest thing to do is to take an idea and share it with the world. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, for sure.
What words of encouragement would you have for someone who have an idea, but they're afraid to share it? What would you tell them?
Oh man, you know, my biggest lesson learned, probably the number one thing that I encourage, and probably the core of everything that I preach, is about not sleeping on yourself at the end of the day. And I I want you to not sleep on yourself. I want you to not sleep on the gold that you have in your hands. If an idea comes to you, right, it's a precious, beautiful thing, and it came to you for a reason, and you can absolutely do the thing, right?
Mhm.
But many of us are walking around thinking like, well, I had this idea, but I need, right? I need
Mhm.
this. I need that. I don't have that. I'm not this, why me? How can I do something like this? And I have learned that many times, I mean, I'm a witness that many times what you need to get started is already in your possession. Like you already have everything you need to get started with this thing. Um, and a lot of times I think what um, the thing that we do or the thing that we know or the idea that we have may seem small to us because it comes so naturally to us a lot of times, but it's often one of the most valuable talents that you possess because no one else has this unique combination of skill and experience and talent that you have, right?
Right.
So I just encourage you to lean into that. 2020 podcast listeners, like lean into your own unique strengths, your own unique talents as you're looking to launch that idea. When you stop thinking from a place of lack and scarcity and start to think from a place of abundance, right? We've all heard this, but it is so true, and I'm a witness. That's how my book was born. Like I shared. It was an idea, but taking the time to really uncover and look at my talents and then place value on them, and then to no longer look at what I didn't have, but to start thinking, okay, what do I have? What can I work with?
Mhm.
That's where the creative ideas start flowing. That's where the solutions you need start flowing. So yeah, I encourage anyone listening, take inventory of the skills, take inventory of your strengths, take inventory of your spiritual gifts, find out what you already have in your possession that can support that idea, and get busy using it. Just start. Just start using what you already have, um, because you are likely sitting on gold and you don't even realize it. I didn't realize I was sitting on gold. So yeah, I yeah, I was those are my thoughts.
That was a powerful message. I pray that that reaches the right person who's on the fence, and I hope it pushes you on the side of taking a chance because who knows, you may change your own life and maybe someone else's. A lot of times we think of blessings in a singular sense, but sometimes blessings create opportunities for others in our community, and that's just something to think about. All right.
Yeah.
Ms. Marlena, if anybody wants to get into contact with you, whether it be about the book or maybe they just want to pick your brain about business, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you are more than welcome to email me, Marlena at bigideafood.com. Um, I strongly encourage you to join my newsletter. That is where I share all the opportunities available for picking my brain, which are not free. Just gonna say. Yeah, bigideafood.com. That is where you'll find everything that you need to know about me. That's where you'll find my book, which I strongly recommend, especially anyone who's interested in starting something and needing that faith push. You need this book. So definitely bigideafood.com. And then I'm on Instagram. You can slide into my DMs. I answer them for the most part. So
She does.
Yeah, case in point.
She does.
So I'm at Marlena Banks as well as at Big Idea Food on the gram.
There it is. Marlena, thank you so much again for taking time out your day. You've really inspired me again today. I love doing these interviews. You have no idea how much I love doing these interviews. So just being able to hear your story and where you've been and where you're going is just enough gas for me. Like it's, yes, in purpose. Yes, all of it. With that being said, I'm not going to take up any more of your time today. Marlena Banks, Big Idea Food, love it. Definitely go and support. Oh, where could they go to purchase the book?
Oh, bigideafood.com. You can purchase it from my website there. And it's also available on Amazon if you prefer, but I offer free shipping as well. So
go for the free shipping, y'all. Just a tip. All right. Well, again, this has been your boy, Sirr, Marlena Banks, Big Idea Food, and we are